Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Kavanaugh's Corner. Today on the show I'm going to be reviewing a movie that I am very excited to talk about, since the sequel to this film, the long-awaited sequel, is going to be coming out this week, and you can expect a review of that as well. Of course, I'm talking about The Shining, and this is the new 4K Ultra HD release of the film. It came out a few weeks ago, and I am very, very excited to talk to you about this today, because this is one of my favorite horror films of all time. This is like number 2 in terms of horror films for me, number 1 being The Exorcist. That's my all-time favorite. That's kind of like the gold standard for me, but this is like right up there, if not number 2. And I have to say, you know, when this was announced, because of the prior release of 2001: A Space Odyssey, which still to me I think is one of, if not the best looking 4K Blu-ray you can buy out there, I was really excited to see what they were going to do with this one. Because Stanley Kubrick is one of the greatest directors that has ever lived. And, you know, his eye for detail and his cinematography in his films are really, really stunning. And I was wondering how this was going to translate. And, you know, the former Blu-ray release, which I got years ago in a Stanley Kubrick box set, was not too bad. It looked great. I thought it was fantastic. It was definitely the movie, the best the movie has ever looked up until now. But I was wondering, I was like, you know, this is another really big Kubrick movie, and I read that Steven Spielberg actually supervised the 4K remaster for this. So I was curious to see, you know, how it was going to fare. And I'm very glad to say that this is a absolutely phenomenal release from Warner Brothers. I had some reservations. One big thing that I was a little bit concerned about, I read an early review of this disc, which I normally don't do, but when I read that the aspect ratio had been altered slightly, I was not cool with that. I'm very much big on film preservation and preservation of a director's vision, I should say. And when an aspect ratio is altered on a film, it's usually not a good thing. Back in the day when we had VHS tapes, the pan and scan ratio really ruined a lot of movies, and I was hoping that it wasn't going to ruin this, and I'm glad to say that it is negligible. That aspect ratio is changed by, I mean, literally this much. It may be a hair, but it is almost unnoticeable, to be honest with you. To be honest, I couldn't really even tell much of a difference going between this and the older Blu-ray. It's very, very negligible. Really, the big thing with this disc is the fact that now we have it in the highest possible quality. We have it with HDR colors. We have it in just stunning, stunning Dolby Vision. And I have to say, I was very much impressed with this. Now, the number one thing I want to talk about with this release is the fact that the image in this is slightly different. It's much more natural, and skin tones and the such are definitely more toned down in this version. It's pretty much like if we got the most enhanced bare bones version of this movie you could ask for. As if it came right out of the negative and we were looking at it, this is what it would be. I am very impressed with the level of detail this disc has, and the first thing I'm going to get into is this picture quality here. So the disc and the digital copy as well both come with Dolby Vision HDR, and that Dolby Vision is really, really impressive. The Dolby Vision allows for way more colors and different shades of colors, and the detail level is just wild. The colors that really stand out in this film are the blues, the reds, Jack Nicholson's like corduroy jacket that he wears near the third act of the film is so detailed. You can see the little ripples in the corduroy. The red of blood is way darker. It's very, very, very intense, the color palette of this film, even though it is more natural. It really looks like you're just looking through a window and The Shining is playing out this window. It's very, very impressive. The whole deal with this film is a very, very lifelike natural color. And that lifelike natural color really lends itself to this movie. The hotel carpets, the Steadicam shots, everything looks extremely detailed and lifelike. And even though the picture itself is not as kind of flashy as it was on the Blu-ray, it really does make the movie look so much better in terms of this natural filmic quality. But the movie has been cleaned up to the point where it is almost flat on dead perfect. And how they were able to do that without DNRing the entire film and making it lose its quality is incredible to me. And I really have to give a big, big round of applause to the guys over at Warner Brothers for really stepping it up in terms of remastering these older movies without really, ruining what they are famous for, and that is these beautiful images. And I was very, very impressed with that. Now, the only thing that is kind of a letdown with this disc is the audio track. The audio track on this is the same 5.1 DTS HD master that we had on the old Blu-ray. And I have to say that the old master, again, was fine. But I really wish they had the original mono soundtrack that this movie came out with. Mainly because this movie, as creepy as it is and as beautiful as the music is and how eerie it is, it really doesn't lend itself to a 5.1 soundtrack. And this is one of those times where I'm kind of glad they didn't do like a Dolby Atmos or a DTS-X mix with this movie, because I don't really see what the point of it would be. This movie, even though it is wildly scary at times, it is not one of these movies where, there's sounds all over the place. It may work for the soundtrack, it may have worked to kind of bump up the soundtrack a little, but the audio as it is on this disc is fine. It works. It's not like I'm going to complain about it. Everything is leveled very well. You don't have to crank up the volume to hear the dialogue or anything. It's very crisp. It's very clear. It was fine on the older Blu-ray, and it's fine on this one. I just really wish they included that original soundtrack, because I think that would have actually fit the film better. But it is what it is. I mean, you can't get everything you want. So overall, I'd say this 4K release of The Shining is a spectacular one, in my opinion. I think they remastered this film to the point of damn near perfection. I loved it, and I highly recommend, if you're a fan of this film, to go out and get The Shining in 4K. This set, like I mentioned, also includes a digital copy and the movie on standard Blu-ray, which is nice to have as well. It's a nice little addition. It's a totally remastered Blu-ray as well, and it just it looks great. The Blu-ray also has all the special features from the older releases. So anyway, that's all I've got for today for Kavanaugh's Corner. Shelley Duvall is getting scared of me here. That's just a really funny image. She's just like, this is my effect I have on women, by the way. Anyway, thank you again for coming back to Kavanaugh's Corner. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, so long.